Hey guys, it is January 1st, 2020. It is a new year, it is a new decade, and I want to do something completely different this year than I've ever done before. I have absolutely no idea what that's going to be. That's kind of the problem. Hey, it's Joey Hernandez. Thank you so much for joining me this very first video in 2020. Here's the thing, here's the problem that I'm having that I need a little bit of help with. Each year on January 1st, I have this habit of I go off by myself somewhere. Usually I'll take a drive into the woods somewhere and I'll hike around, especially like that if it's snowy, you know, beautiful day, nice and quiet. Everybody's hungover from the night before, so I'm pretty much completely alone. And I'll go and I'll sit down somewhere and I will kind of review the last year in my head and think, okay, so what did I like about this last year? What went well? And what are the things that I did that I really wish I didn't do? I really wish I could go back and I could undo that I ever did those things. And then I usually will kind of not really set a resolution for the next year, but I like to have some sort of plan of the things that I would like to accomplish. And I do that every year, and the big ones are always done on the start of the new decade, right? So here we are now starting out the 2020s, and I want to come up with a plan of action for what I'm going to do for this decade. Now, as I look back on my life, I can kind of pigeonhole each of the decades of my life and what I did and kind of what that decade meant to me. Okay, I was born in the 50s, so in the 1950s I was kind of peeing and shitting in my diapers. That was the 1950s for me. The 1960s was when I was going through elementary school. We had a place up in Maine that we used to go to. Those were beautiful, fantastic years for me. I was growing up. I spent all the summers up on this beautiful lake. You might have seen those in some of my previous videos. Gosh, I loved that period of time. The 1970s were pretty turbulent in my life. It started out with my parents dying and my finishing high school, getting through college. I had a few relationships, but they weren't anything that was defining yet. I was still dating women. I was still dating guys. I didn't know what I wanted or where I was. In the 1980s, because the effects of my parents dying were now kind of catching up with my life, and I was on my own, I was young, I really had no idea what I was doing. I was not raised doing chores or learning how to do just the basic things in life that we should be able to learn how to do. Cooking for ourselves, doing our laundry, paying our bills, being responsible and showing up at a job instead of calling in because you're hungover from the night before. The 1980s were just a drunken decade for me. I remember very little about the 1980s. I remember women had big hair and big shoulders, actually bigger shoulders than I've ever had, and the rest of the decade is just kind of hazy a little bit. The 1990s are very memorable for me because that was my big clubbing decade. I was going out to gay bars and dancing every Friday night, every Saturday night, every Sunday afternoon tea dances, all through the year. I never missed. That was my time out. And towards the end of the decade, that's when I started my infamous box dancing that I would do at clubs. And it was just a great decade. The dance music was the best, better than it is now. I love the 1990s dance music. The fashions were okay. We got over that hideous stuff we did in the 70s with the disco clothes. In the 1980s, dressing kind of the way Don Johnson did in Miami Vice, where you'd wear pastel colors and you'd wear this linen sports coat, but you'd roll up the sleeves. Oh, that was hideous. The big high-waisted pants. Oh, parachute pants. Oh my God. Oh God, that was horrible. But the 1990s fashion was okay. You can't really think back and have any defining things about the 1990s fashion, except maybe that it was kind of a grunge look going on for most people. But you know, for guys, gay guys going out, the 90s, right up until now, all the fashion kind of blurs together, it seems. So the 2000s, from 2000 up to 2009, I think that was really when I worked hard on my business, getting my clients going really well, building my gym downstairs, still going out clubbing here and there, still dating here and there. But towards the end of that decade, I kind of pulled back on dating completely. Then the 2010s, I think that was the best decade that I personally have ever had. That was the decade when I met my husband, dated him, had him move in. We had our big wedding and our honeymoon in Iceland. We adopted our dog just this last year. So this decade, in my 50s all the way up until I turned 60, were the best years of my life. They absolutely were the best years of my life. So if you are someone that is approaching 50, or you're now in your 50s and you're alone and you're thinking, oh my God, my life is over, I'm too old, I'm never gonna find someone. That is so not true. You have as good a chance of meeting somebody as I had. And I met my husband when I was 54. I was married when I was 56. Who ever would have believed that? I never would have believed that that was possible. So I don't want you to give up hope about that. But now here we are all the way through, and it's 2020. And I do want to do something different in this decade of the 2020s. But I don't know what that is. I'm pretty happy with how all my media stuff is going, my podcasts. In case you don't know, an Older Gay Guy Show podcast. Also Jockstrap Stories, where I'm reading my gay sports novel, Northridge High Football Camp. That's going well. My YouTube channel, I've got some of you joining here and there every few days. Numbers are going up. That's always nice. Thank you for doing that. But I want to like take it beyond that. I want to do something else. I think it's going to entail helping animals, especially shelter animals, homeless animals, stray animals, helping them get into safe places, helping getting them adopted into loving families. I want to continue to work with that even more than what I've done so far. Whatever small thing that I think I can do to try to make a better world, to try to make a more peaceful world. I feel like we have a chance to make a small dent in the world, something that can really be seen. As nice as it is to give to charities, to give money to charities, we never know really what's going to be done with that money. And you often hear about charities being kind of in legal trouble or whatever because they misuse the funds that are given to them. Or a charity is known to pay their salaries to their top executives at astronomical amounts, using up a lot of the donations that come in. That happens all the time. So that's why I don't want to just give money and hope that my money is going to be used the best way possible. If I do things personally, if I see animals that are in need, and I do something personally to make a small difference in that animal's life, that is something that I'm going to be able to see how my actions have made a difference. And when you see what you're doing is making a difference, that is what builds your enthusiasm and gives you the encouragement to keep doing what you're doing, because you know that things are moving in the right direction, that you are in fact making a difference in this world. I think that's what I want to do. I'm not exactly sure how I set out to start that. I kind of have to figure out a way to get my ass in gear right away, you know, right now in January 2020, get my ass going and try to see if I can set something up to begin to do that. And I'm going to talk about that on this channel sometimes. I'm probably going to ask your advice at times. There are people that are watching me right now that know a lot more about structuring things than I do, believe me. I don't have that great of business head on me. So I may be asking for some advice as I go along, and I hope maybe if you see what I'm doing and you see the differences that are happening because of what I'm doing, maybe it's going to encourage you to do something too. I don't know. That would be nice. It would be great to have some company doing this. You know, I would love for us to be all writing in the comments the things that we're doing to make a difference in the world. Won't that just kind of relieve some of the stress and the anxiety that we're feeling right now because of all of the crap that's going on in the world? The things that sometimes we feel are out of our control. So I'm gonna do that, I think. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Another thing I wanna do, you know, with this channel is, if you look back at the 40 or so videos that are on here, you will see what I consider to be the vlog, you know, the things that Paco and I do where I'll take the camera along with us and I'll film some stuff. Now, if you look at YouTube in general, at YouTubers that do that kind of thing, they're usually much younger than me. You'll see these YouTubers, you know, flying first class to the United Arab Emirates, and they film themselves with these views and this first class cabin, and they travel around to temples and all of these different things. They film all around the world, in Thailand, in South America, trips to Antarctica, you name it, you can find YouTubers doing it on YouTube. Well, I'm not at that level. I am that level. That level, right there. I am right there. That's my level right there. No, right, that's me right there. That's the level that I'm at. It's Paco and I go for a walk in the woods. Ooh, Paco and I go swimming at a lake. Ooh, I know, not tremendously fascinating things. So I'm gonna cut back on those a little bit. I will show you if we go someplace interesting, we take the dog someplace scenic and interesting, but ultimately, of course, it's going to come down to me. You know, Paco hardly says a thing on these videos. It's always like, honey, say hello to people, and he'll go, hello, I'll be like, good job, honey, good job. In the comments below, what I would love you to do with this video is tell me what ideas you have that you want to do in 2020 that's different from what they were this last year or this last decade. What is going to be ahead for you in the next year or the next 10 years? Please comment below. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And I will be back in just a couple days with another one because I want to get going on these videos. So Happy New Year to everyone, and I will see you again. Yes? Good. Bye for now.